Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Farsi Show, presented by MyBookie, Oh, my goodness gracious. It is absolutely wonderful to have you along for the ride. There we go. We got so much to get into today. We got Nick Sirianni getting his contract extension as we all expected. It's just a matter of how much it's going to be for and how long it's going to be for. We're going to break down all those numbers. I have some of the highest paid coaches in the NFL, and we'll see how Nick Sirianni stacks up to them. And we'll probably find out in the next couple of days, if not today, how much this deal is going to be worth. Nick Sirianni is set to address the media later today, as is Jalen Hurts, which I find fascinating. So we'll get into all that and more as the show goes on today. We have the Tush push yet again going on trial today. We touched on this a little bit yesterday. The Green Bay Packers have submitted a revisal to their deal. Deal. That's certainly what it feels like. To their proposal about what they want to do with the Tush push and why it should be banned and how they want to see the rules changed in the NFL when it comes to pushing a ball carrier. So we'll get to that. And then the Philadelphia Phillies put on a offensive display yesterday in the 8th and 9th innings, more so than any other. They scored 8 of their 9 runs in the 7th inning and later. Bats exploded. 1 run in the 7th, 4 runs in the 8th, 3 runs in the 9th, including a go-ahead 2-run home run by Alec Boehm in the 8th inning that put the Phillies up 4-3, and a Schwarb bomb from the Schwarbarian for his 300th career home run. 466 feet, people. That's pretty spectacular. And yes, I know the air's thin out there in Colorado, but he took full advantage of it in the win for the Phillies to get his 300th career home run. Also, this little nugget, I am one that tends to not really pay much attention to the standings until after Memorial Day, but the Phillies did creep back into first place. The Mets had a little bit of a rough go of it up at Fenway after having a rough go of it against the Yankees, dropping 2 or 3 in that series. So now the Phillies are a half game above the New York Metropolitans for first place in the NL East. Love to see it. Now they got 3 more against the Colorado Rockies, who still have only won 8 games on the season. And after this, they got the 2-3 games under 500 Athletics against the Philadelphia Athletics. Oh, that's even farther back. Anyway, that's who they got coming up on this road trip. And a 9-3 victory is a nice way to start it, especially when they had you on the edge of your seat for a little while there, considering they were trailing through most of the game, considering at one point they were down 3-1, which was not great, considering as great as Edmundo Sosa was at the plate with a 4-hit night, he botched one a wee bit earlier in the game at second base and then lollygagged it, allowing a guy to get a double off a ball that hit off the second baseman's the heel of his mitt, I believe it was, before it bounced out. So we'll get through the Philly stuff and all that stuff. But I want to focus on Nick Sirianni because what's so incredible about Nick Sirianni? What's so great about this guy? What does this guy do here, right? When we were doing the Eagle Squad podcast yesterday, me, Jason Martinez, and Harry Mays, and we started the show by simply talking about the Tush push. And right before the show, news broke that Joe Douglas was rejoining the Eagles front office. So we started talking about that. And then maybe about 15 minutes into the show, I get a little notification from Shefty saying that the Philadelphia Eagles and head coach Nick Sirianni had agreed to terms on a contract extension. We all knew this was going to happen, just a matter of when it was going to happen. Well, when was yesterday. We still have the questions of for how long and for how much. But before we get into the speculated numbers, I don't bring it up to harp on maybe a sore subject. But nobody, not one person outside of Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, not one person after Nick Sirianni's introductory press conference walked out of that room or turned off their computers or TVs watching it, nobody turned that off and went, yep, this is the guy. This is the guy that's going to go to 2 Super Bowls. This is the guy that's going to win a Super Bowl. This is the guy that's going to go to the playoffs for the next 4 years. This is the guy that's going to start out 10-1 practically every season. This is the guy that's going to give a flower power speech. Nobody walked away from the introductory press conference and went, that's it. Gotta have this guy locked up. It goes to show you how much better you could be in your natural habitat. For him, that's a film room. For him, that's a locker room at times. For him, that's the practice field. And for him, that's the sidelines of an NFL game. Throughout his entire tenure, one thing has remained true with Nick Sirianni. He figured it out in the beginning. We'll give him a couple of games there. Figured it out in the beginning. Did not like his strategy in his second game against the Dallas Cowboys, and certainly left a lot to be desired in that regard. And then he did something smart. He figured out how to delegate. And he has had his team prepared to play football for the vast majority of the games he's coached them. And the only exception is, unfortunately, a historic 1-6 collapse to end the season 2 years ago. But other than that, and a lot of things went wrong, blah, blah, blah. But other than that, we're talking about a guy who has the second most wins in the first 4 seasons of an NFL career, playoffs included in NFL history, with 54. And if I really had to say what he does great, that is unquestioned, is preparing his team to play football. And that might seem like the most general brush to paint a picture, but is there really anything more important than being ready to play a game? How many times do you watch teams that don't look like they're ready to play a game? I mean, we've watched it with the Eagles. We've seen it with the Eagles. That's been few and far between with the Eagles since Nick Sirianni took over. Now, you might say, oh, he's not calling plays. He doesn't call the defense, doesn't call the offense. And you know what? There's some validity to that, considering he started out as a guy that did do that and then figured it out, saying, okay, maybe this part of it isn't for me. He still has his fingerprints on it, and there's been some other weird moments with Nick Sirianni. But whatever he goes through, whether it's the flower power speech, whether it's yelling at fans in the stands of the Cleveland Browns game in South Philadelphia, whether it's buzzing his head, whatever it is that he goes through, whether it's calling out his new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, for calling a play that Saquon Barkley dropped against the Falcons, where he dropped the ball, you know? No, that was Kellen Moore called that play. Or it's saying that he called a defense when Vic Fangio was like, he didn't call a defense. What? Whatever it is, all the criticism this guy gets only makes this team rally around him more. It's wild. He has his team's respect. He has his team's admiration. And his team has his back. Whatever he says to them in the locker room, whether it's talking about flowers, whether it's talking about close your eyes and think about the greatest moment in your pre-NFL career. Think about who was there with you. This is what he did before the NFC Championship. Think about who was there before. Think about who was there with you. Think about who you celebrated with. Think about the teammates that help put you there. I mean, this guy has his team focused week in and week out. So when anyone wants to say, what does he even do? Well, I'll tell you one thing he does do. And even during the collapse, I said this. He has his team prepared to play football. Way more often than not. He has his team focused. And teams and players can lose focus for a number of reasons, but he has him locked in. And not only does he have him locked in, but they have him, he has them rallying around him as a head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. And Saquon Barkley, one of the things that really wild to me, Saquon Barkley gets here. And there's two things that really stick out to me about Saquon Barkley when he just got here to Philadelphia. Number one was the video of him and Jalen Hurts on the practice field. I think it was actually a training camp. And he says to Jalen Hurts, he's like, hey, man, are you fearless? And then they have this great conversation about why they're fearless, you know? And that was really something. And then the other thing that jumped out was that almost immediately you hear from Saquon Barkley. I hate to use the word regurgitate, but it seems like the most accurate. Just also seems regurgitate just sounds like it's inauthentic, but It's definitely genuine. He starts regurgitating the words that we've heard from Nick Sirianni about you can't be great without the greatness of others. You can't be great without the greatness of others. You can't be great without the greatness of others. And every chance Saquon Barkley gets, he makes that statement. He reiterates, repeats, regurgitates what Nick Sirianni tells this team all the time. So Saquon Barkley gets in here and immediately takes to Nick Sirianni. And yeah, I think it was pretty easy for Nick Sirianni to take to him. But then to go beyond that, to have to use Jeffrey Lurie's word or phrase, emotional intelligence, to go up to Saquon Barkley in the Meadowlands and say, do you want to keep going here and keep pushing? Or do you want to let the young guys eat? And Saquon Barkley says, I want let the young guys eat. Now, tell Saquon Barkley he was 100 yards shy of breaking a record, and maybe he wouldn't have let the young guys eat, but nonetheless he did. And Nick Sirianni had the wherewithal to approach his player and say on the sidelines, all right, well, do you want to play or not? Do you want to play or do you want to sit? That's something that goes out the door with a lot of head coaches. So when you get down to it, and you talk about a guy who's a two-time NFC champion, to compare it to another successful head coach in the NFL, Doug Peterson had one. To compare it to a guy who had a little bit more success, Andy Reid had one. Nick Sirianni has two NFC championships in his back pocket. Obviously, two Super Bowl appearances. Could very well have two Super Bowl rings, but he just has one. So he matches Doug Peterson for the franchise lead in Super Bowl championships. I don't know what you guys see from Nick Sirianni. I have an idea. We've talked about this a lot before. But what do you see from Nick Sirianni that you think makes him a successful football coach? And I'm going to make this comparison, and I don't want this. It could easily be misconstrued as a slight, and this is not a slight. Because as I said a couple of weeks ago, I hope Jalen Hurts never knows what it's like to not play with a complete offense. And then that's where people get into fantasy. Oh, well, and I don't mean fantasy football that you're drafting people. I mean, like, well, what if he wasn't on the Eagles? What if he was on the Chargers and Justin Herbert was on the Eagles? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. You know why? Because that's a huge, big, fat if. Okay? So I never want Jalen Hurts to not know what it's like to be on a complete offense with the Philadelphia Eagles. I never want Nick Sirianni to know what it's like to coach without a complete offense or really a complete defense in the NFL. I also, I always want him to have someone that is as damn good as Vic Fangio running his defense and not the cover band of Vic Fangio. I want Kevin Patullo to be a great offensive coordinator and play caller. I do think with a guy that does have his experience with this team as is, the guy that's already been an associate head coach and been apparently in the hip pocket of Kellen Moore while he was here last year, I would certainly hope that almost through osmosis, he could go out there and just be as fantastic as Kellen Moore was with this offense last year. It's going to be hard to miss for him, for Kevin Patullo, when you have this complete set of offensive players, including Dallas Goedert being back. But just like Jalen Hurts, I don't want him to know what it's like to be without a complete offense. I don't want Nick Sirianni to know what it's like without a complete offense. I don't want him to know what it's like without a complete roster. So, yes, is he in a great situation with Howie Roseman as his general manager, Vic Fangio overseeing every defensive addition that's made to this team? Without A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and, oh, yeah, Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts? And, oh, yeah, record holder for most rushing yards in the season and postseason combined, Saquon Barkley. And Dallas Goedert's pretty damn good when he's not hurt. Yeah, I don't want Nick Sirianni to walk onto the field and be like, well, I have crap, so what do I do now? No, I want him to be enjoying an embarrassment of riches as a head football coach. And also knowing what it takes to put himself in the best possible position to have success as a head coach by delegating and looking around the football field and putting his players in the best possible position to have success. So when you talk about money, let's get into the nitty-gritty of it, okay? There used to be a commercial with the late, great Alan Thicke. I forget it. Money lending? I don't know. Let's tell the kids what it's like to have money, okay? So let's talk about money. Sorry, Family Guy brain. Philadelphia Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni with his re-upped deal with the Eagles. How long could it be? How much could it be for? These are the questions that we want to know. Ben Johnson just signed a deal with the Chicago Bears that pay him $13 million a year. $13 million a year. Kyle Shanahan's at $14 million. Sean McVay's at $15 million. Mike Tomlin is at $16 million. Jim Harbaugh at $16 million as well. Sean Payton at $18 million. And Andy Reid, $20 million. This is annually. I think the only person that's going to have more money annually than Nick Sirianni after this year, after this deal gets announced, is Andy Reid. It would not shock me if Nick Sirianni was up there in the 20 millions. It would not shock me. However, I think it's going to be closer to about 18 million. I think he's going to be right there in that Sean Payton. You consider the time he's done it. He also has a Super Bowl championship, taking over a new team and all that. I see Nick Sirianni being there at the 18 million mark. Others have anticipated about $15 million. Forget about it. All right, that ain't happening. He's going north of 15. When this gets announced, I'm going to expect about $18 million for average annual salary of Nick Sirianni. I also want to take this time to acknowledge that I have fired Nick Sirianni a number of times. I would not have brought him back last year. I'll go ahead and ladle that crow, okay, into my mouth. I will enjoy a nice humble pie with a pitchfork-sized fork. But he has emerged on the other side as a Super Bowl champion, and this team absolutely adores him. One of the things that's probably the most impressive thing about Nick Sirianni, when I look back on his time so far here in Philadelphia, is that for a guy that's respected and loved, both those things, in this locker room, he was never a player. D3 college wide receiver. And one of the things that Doug Peterson had instantly in this locker room was respect and love of these players. A big reason was that he had a giant leap ahead. He had a giant head start, more so than a guy like Chip Kelly or even Nick Sirianni. He played in the league. Doug Peterson played in the league. He was a player. There's no better way to get respect from somebody else than, oh, we were once peers, maybe. Or, I played in the league, you've played in the league. Doug Peterson played under guys like Don Shula and Mike Holmgren and Andy Reid. Nick Sirianni, as a guy that's not a player, has that respect. And he had that almost from jump. That's amazing. These players absolutely love the guy. And I think one of the reasons is because this guy really does. I mean, God, talk about emotional intelligence. If that was a prerequisite, which obviously it was here with the Philadelphia Eagles, he hammered that home. And I go back to his first year, and some people might just draw it up as pandering when you talk about wearing player T-shirts, or when we did Skydrive with Avante Maddox, he told us a story about Nick Sirianni dressing up as Jalen Hurts for Halloween. Okay. You talk about Nick Sirianni. One of my favorite stories is he learned the fight song of Miles Sanders High School in Central PA. He just walked up to Miles Sanders and just started singing the fight song. He's like, "What?" He's like, "Oh yeah, just thought I learned the fight song." And Miles Sanders like, "Oh my, okay, thanks, man." Just to show that he wanted to be on the same page with these players, just to show that he took the time to take an interest in a part of your history. That really caught guys' attention. He was never a player in the NFL, D3 wide receiver. And he gets the love and admiration of these players. It's absolutely incredible. And on top of that, he's also got him prepared to play every single week. So pretty damn special. Pretty damn special. I was happy to see the deal. Look, it was just, again, a matter of when he was going to get it. And then he got it. Now it's just a matter of us learning the numbers. How much is it going to be for, Nicholas? So I look forward to that coming out. Some other orders of business in the NFL. Let's get to this little thing. Goodness gracious. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. This right here. For the people on the podcast, this is the proposal from the Green Bay Packers, revised to ban the tush push, which they'll be getting to today. Now, if you take a gander on down at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see player safety, reason, player safety, and pace of play. Player safety and pace of play is why they want to get rid of the tush push. They are looking to ban a push or pull of a runner in any direction at any time, or lift him to his feet. Push or throw his body against a teammate to aid him in an attempt to obstruct an opponent to recover a loose ball, or assist the runner, except by individually blocking opponents for him. This, first off, let's get into a couple of things here. Okay, number one, this sounds like you just described football. There will be no more football in football. We don't like playing football in football, so stop playing football. That sounds like football to me. Number two, player safety, still, nobody hurt. Pace of play, it's a running play, you jackasses. The clock keeps moving. Pace of play? Seriously? How have 16 people gone, oh yeah, there's know what they're doing here? There is going to be some shady stuff. I am not kidding. This is not an exaggeration. This is speculation, but it's going on, pretty good gut feeling here. There's going to be some shadiness to this deal. What more do you need to know? This is going to get banned. I do expect this to get banned, unfortunately. Now, how is it going to get banned when the argument is pace of play? It's running play. Clock keeps moving. And how is it safety when no one's been hurt? What are we doing here? The bottom line is it continues to come out that reports of Roger Goodell not liking the tush push and wanting other teams to vote against it. How is it that this is going to get pushed through when the argument being made does not make any sense and there's no evidence to support the reasoning behind banning the tush push? What are we doing? They couldn't get it done at the NFL at the NFL owners meetings, and somehow magically they're going to get it done at these meetings. They're going to be talking about it today, and it really does punish the Eagles for just being great at running a specific play that not many other teams can run, and certainly not to the perfection of the Eagles. But here's the thing, that word perfection, I've talked about this before, but here's what's also amazing to me. The Eagles supposedly run this play better than anybody, and they do. All right, statistically speaking, they do. However, the Bills, who want it banned, also run it rather well. The Eagles and the Bills combined to have an 87% success rate in running the tush push since 2022, 87% successful since 2022. The rest of the NFL, if I was to tell you that the Eagles had Eagles and Bills had an 87% success rate, and then the rest of the league wanted to ban it, what do you think the success rate would be of the rest of the NFL? Eagles, Bills run it 87% effectively. The rest of the league is only 16 percentage points behind them. I would have thought, Eagles and Bills are at 87. Rest of the NFL, 9%? 10? Are they in double digits? 71% of the time, people. Since 2022, the rest of the league has had success running a tush-push play. So again, I beg of thee, what are we talking about here? This rule is going to get banned simply because people don't like it. Or excuse me, the tush push is going to get banned simply because other teams don't like it. And they're running it pretty damn well as well. Come on, what are we doing? Look, the tush push didn't allow the Eagles to blow out the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The tush push did not allow the Eagles to blow out the Commanders in the NFC Championship game. The tush push did not have the Eagles 10-1 almost every year. Nick Sirianni's been the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. It's helped, but I don't think A.J. Brown needs the tush push. I don't think Devontae Smith needs the tush push. Jalen Hurts, I don't think he needs much of a push of his tush. I think he's pretty damn strong as is. I don't think Saquon Barkley needs a tush push, honestly. But here we are. The NFL is going to ban something simply because nanny, boo-boo, stick your head in doo-doo. That's why they're going to do it. Player safety. No one's been hurt. Pace of play. It's a running play. It kind of looks like a rugby play. A lot of football plays look like a rugby play. You ever see a guy run with a football? Kind of looks like a rugby guy. Take that helmet and pads off of him, and it looks like a rugby player. So yeah, sometimes stupid things happen in the world with no explanation, and this is going to be one of them. So there you go. Sticking with the Eagles front office, Joe Douglas, after 6 years, imagine that, with the Jets. He is now back with Philadelphia Eagles in the front office. I'm for it. You got a guy who obviously learned under Ozzie Newsome, had a cup of coffee with Chicago, came here to the Eagles, helped them win a Super Bowl. And then he went to the New York Jets to help the Eagles out of a Hassan Reddick deal. With what I assume to be a phone call to Howie Roseman. All right, look, all right, I'm gonna get fired. All right, if you give me a job back with the Eagles, just let me know what I can do for you. You want Hassan Reddick? Sure. Does he want a deal? Nah, don't worry about that. You just worry about being here in Philadelphia in a year, and we'll work that out. All right, thanks, brother. Look, I think he's a good football mind when it comes to player personnel. He certainly helped you with Alshon Jeffries back in the day. He helped you with Jay Ajayi in that trade going down. Andre Dillard and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was also on his watch, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. That's not great. But the Eagles are in a much better place since then. So, yeah, come on down. Eagles have lost 2 members of their front office, scouting department guys in this offseason. One, a guy that was with the organization for 20-plus years. He went to the Raiders. Another gentleman, I can't remember his name, he also went to the Raiders. And now Joe Douglas is taking on a senior scouting role in the Philadelphia Eagles front office. Yeah, sure, great. Welcome back to the party. He still reminds me of Varys from Game of Thrones. But anyway, welcome back. Welcome back to the nest, Joe Douglas. Nice to have you on board again. Your Philadelphia Phillies. Yesterday's game was fun. I honestly was watching yesterday's game, 8:40 start time, by the way. Christopher Sanchez on the hill against Freeland, lefty versus lefty matchup. And Phillies obviously coming off the sweep of the Pirates. They were trailing 3-1. And I honestly did not see the Phillies losing this game. I just thought it was going to be a matter of time before somebody came in and blew it for the Rockies. And that's exactly what happened. So it's very rarely you're like, all right, they're going to come back. They're going to win this game. And then they actually, they do. And you feel pretty damn good about it. Because I also had the repeating thought, I was like, are you really going to give the Rockies their 9th win of the season in game 1 of this series? Look, I don't care how god-awful you are, and the Rockies are god-awful. It's still hard to win 4 straight games against the same team. It shouldn't be that hard against the Rockies, but baseball, I don't know if you've heard this before, is a funny game. Sometimes it's a funny game that's funny, not ha-ha, but funny like you're going to lose your mind funny. So the Phillies are trailing 3-1 in the 6th inning. They had a base running, or excuse me, they had a blunder, a bit of a blunder there in the third inning for the second run of the game for the Rockies. First run of the game came on a Tovar 318-foot home run that he got on a hanging slider from Christopher Sanchez in the first inning, 1-0 Rockies. Fast forward to the third inning, Beck steps up to the plate with 2 outs. And Beck hits I'll say a hard hit bouncer to the left of Edmundo Sosa, who was great from the plate, but struggled on this particular play with his mitt. And the ball looked like it hit off the heel of his mitt and went into shallow right center field. Edmundo Sosa lollygags it after the baseball. And I feel like I say this all the time, but Nick Castellanos, not fleet of foot, is in pursuit of the baseball now, trying to get to it, realizing that Beck is rounding first, heading for second on what was a bouncing ball to second. Beck makes it to second base, beating the throw from Nick Castellanos. If Edmundo Sosa doesn't lollygag it, you're keeping the runner at first base. If Edmundo Sosa doesn't lollygag it, you're not scoring a run. On the RBI, what ended up being an RBI single by Tovar to put the Phillies up, or to put the Rockies up 2-0. Now go ahead to the 6th inning. They get another run across the plate on a ground rule double that looked like it just glanced off the mitt of a ill-timed leap from Weston Wilson in left center field. Throughout the process, Bryce Harper was able to plate 2. So now in the 6th inning, you are down. Throughout the process, Bryce Harper was able to plate 1 on an RBI single. Just again, going down to get a sweeper. Nice, easy swing. Got the ball into the outfield, made it a 2-1 game. After the 6th inning, it was 6-1. Going to the 7th inning, Bryce Harper gets an RBI single. And the Rockies helped him out in this because Bird was pitching at this point in the 7th inning. Brandon Marsh led off with a single, pinch hitting for Johan Rojas. Trey Turner hits a comebacker to Bird on the pitcher's mound. Bird turns and fires to second to start a double play, and it doesn't work out like that. He fires the ball into center field. Now, all of a sudden, you got runners on first and third with nobody out. Bryce Harper comes up, gets a sac fly RBI. It's a 3-2 game at this point, the second RBI of the game for Bryce Harper. Kyle Schwarber ends it with grounding into the 4-6-3 double play. Joe Ross is pitching the bottom of the 7th inning. Mickey Moniak steps up to the plate, pinch hitting. He gets a single to right field just off the mid of Bryce Harper. Amador, I think I said that right. He gets a sack bunt. Moniak moves to second. Stalling then flies out to center. Moniak goes to third base, and then Beck grounds out to Alec Boehm at third. Nothing doing there. You get out of that inning. Good job, Joe Ross. This would be a theme, by the way, as that Mickey Moniak hit was the only hit given up by the Phillies bullpen. Go into the top of the 8th inning, and this is where the Phillies did some damage. They're trailing in the inning 3-2. Nick Castellanos shatters his bat with a single. JT Realmuto unfortunately strikes out, was up in the count 3-0, drops to 3-2. He then swings at 2 ball fours. Not 1, 2 ball fours. He tried to check his swing on 1. He went around. Alec Boehm steps up. I had a good feeling. No lie. I had a good feeling about Alec Boehm in this game. Alec Boehm steps up. He gets a 1-2 slider that hangs, and he puts it 422 feet to dead center field. Doyle looked like he had a chance to make the grab on this and rob a home run. He either mistimed it, just made a bad play. I don't know. But bottom line is he didn't catch it. It went over the fence. Home run, 2-run home run. Phillies go up 4-3, and it was all Phillies after that. Next up in the inning, you got Edmundo Sosa comes up with his 3rd hit of the game. He comes around to score later in that inning with a Trey Turner 2-run double to right center field. Makes it a 6-3 game. Kyle Schwarber steps up to the plate in the 9th inning, hits a 466-foot home run that was off the facing of the upper deck, the highest of decks at Coors Field. He blasts it off the facing of it, 466 feet, a 3-2 sinker that was right in the power zone of Kyle Schwarber for career home run number 300. 300 career Schwarber bombs by the Schwarbarian, babe. Phillies are up 7-3. Edmundo Sosa gets in on the action with a 2-run home run down the left field line for his 4th hit of the day. Edmundo Sosa. 4-hit night for Edmundo Sosa. 386, I believe he got his batting average up to. Not too shabby. Phillies win 9-3. No decision for Christopher Sanchez. The win goes to Joe Ross. And the Phillies, holy Stromboli. Phillies popping off, man. Hopefully they keep it going. 8:40 start time tonight, by the way. Jesus Luzardo goes to improve to 5-0. He's 4-0 right now in the season. And Antonio Senzatila, I believe it's Senzatila, gets the start for the Rockies. Phillies took him for 10 hits last time. So, hey, keep that going. 8:40 start time tonight. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to Locked On Phillies postcast, Locked On Phillies YouTube channel, I should say, where you got yours truly after each and every game. By the way, I think I hinted at possibly taking Saturday off of the Oakland game. I am not. We were supposed to have company in the house. It would have been debauchery. So I was going to take Saturday off. I'm not taking Saturday off. Company's not coming. Company's now coming over 4th of July weekend. Anyway, yeah, enough information for you. I absolutely loved watching last night's Phillies game and playing a team like the Rockies. If they would have scored 9 runs in the first 3 innings, or I should say 8 runs in the first 3 innings as opposed to the last 3 innings, that game would have been a lot less interesting. The fact that they waited, not that they did it on purpose, but the fact that it took that long for the offense to get going, maybe they're shaking off the jet lag in the first 6 innings. And Bryce Harper continues to hit. You love to see that for him. He's now got his batting average up to, I know this isn't a brag, but when you consider about where it was, Bryce Harper's batting average now over 260. I know. Stop your snickering. All right. I would love that. 263 for Bryce Harper right now. Nick Castellanos, 2 hits last night, 282. 4 hits for Sosa. He's hitting 386 with a 419 on base percentage. Is that good? I think that's good. Also, Alec Boehm, his 2 hits, 260 batting average for Alec Boehm. If you haven't looked at his splits lately, I think I rattled them off yesterday. Yesterday was a blur. In the month of May, he's hitting 339. Over his last month in total, he's hitting 326 with all 3 of his home runs. In his last 2 weeks, he's hitting 357 with a 404 on base percentage and all 3 of his home runs. Oh, a terrible slump in the last week. Only 300. Come on, bro. This is pretty nice. This is pretty nice to experience with your Philadelphia Phillies. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. So when the Phillies come home to take on the Braves, you want to go to that game? You want to go to those games there? Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase. And don't forget about the Game Time Picks feature. You know what that does? That filters out all the fluff so you get right down to it. The best seats at the best prices on the Game Time app. Also, you can view your seat's vantage point before you buy the tickets. So you literally take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code FARS to get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. How about Sky Motorcars? Check out Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check. See you guys doing this wonderful morning. April. Good morning, April. Jason A. Hello, Jason A. Jason A. Schwarber this year is insane. I don't think I've ever seen him this dominant. I don't think he's ever been this dominant. You're talking about a guy that's hit 47 home runs in a Phillies uniform. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You know what I haven't checked in a while? Because like the standings, I kind of feel, you shouldn't do this before Memorial Day. But right now, holy Stromboli, Kyle Schwarber is on pace for 55 home runs this season. He's got 16 homers so far on the year. That's pretty good. His 300th of his career was the 16th of the season. Only Shohei Ohtani has more home runs than Kyle Schwarber. Aaron Judge, 15. Cal Raleigh, how about that? He's got 15 as well. Isn't Cal Raleigh the guy they call Big Ass or something like that? But yeah, Kyle Schwarber, 16 home runs already on the season. On pace for 70, or excuse me, 50, 70. On pace for 55. There's one more thing I wanted to check with him. He's hit 46 with the Phils, 47 with the Phils, 38 last year. I'm going to go ahead and say that he hits more than 38 home runs this year. But when he hit that 466-foot home run, by the way, he's also been banging the drum for Kevin Long, for K Long, who I always forget he was with for a year in D.C. But I wanted, after he rounded the bases and came home, I saw that John Middleton was in the dugout congratulating Mick Abel, which I've never seen. That's pretty amazing. I wanted John Middleton to be there at home plate waiting for him with a contract. Here's a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year contract extension, Kyle Schwarber. You ain't going nowhere. Would have loved for that to be the case. That'd be the coolest thing ever. Guy hits a home run right there as the owner of the team's play. Just sign here. Dave Dombrowski is holding the pen, hands it over to him. That'd be pretty fantastic. But yeah, I've never seen him this dominant either. Sean Kilroy, but it's not even June. It's May 20th, May 19th yesterday, hit the home run. William Stark, good morning. Hello. What, 4-hit game for Sosa? Absolutely. Sean Kilroy, Packers amended the proposal. Yes, they did. Tush push going back to the pre-2005 rules. Reason for banning a player safety and pace of play. It's still stupid. April, are they still chasing that Schwarbomb? Yeah. I've been up there at that upper deck at Coors Field. They have the Jack Daniels. I think they call it the Jack Daniels Pavilion. Let me just tell you this. I felt like a kid at Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory before anything bad happened, and nothing bad did happen. But I've been up there, and you guys know how much I love Jack Daniels. Oh, my goodness gracious. I went up there, and it was just like, if you want to view paradise, simply look around, and you will. There's an Oompa Loompa bringing me my Jack Daniels. It was fantastic. But I've been up there in that area where Kyle Schwarber hit that ball. It is look, all you need to know is 466 feet. But I think we've all stood on the edge of something and went, holy Lord. I stood up there and I looked down there. I was like, holy Lord, that's a long way from home plate. Truth be told, Jack Daniels is a little further towards center field, but I've been up there. I've walked up there. It's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Sean Kilrain, they hate us because they ain't us. Run it down with my love. Yes, give me Jordan Mailata one time. Give me Jordan Mailata one time in a goal line situation. It's never gonna happen. But I'd love to see it. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Trey Turner up 300 runners in scoring position, 314 in May, 286 over the last 365 days. How about that? It was only the tush push, says Sean Gillespie, that defeated the Packers twice. That's right. Playoffs and in São Paulo, Brazil. Danny Preno. What's up, Danny? Tampa Eagle. Good morning, Farzy from Tampa. Good morning, Tampa from Philly, from Farzy. Eagles fan. Good morning. Jason A. Big Crow played for Farzy. Hey, after the collapse, we all felt that way. Right. And then, you know what we all should have done? We should have done what Jeffrey Lurie did. We should have went yacht shopping. If we just go buy a yacht, that helps us clear our brains, and then we retain the head coach. Sean Gillespie, that sounded more like Alan Arkin than Alan Thicke. Hold on, let me go into the Alan Thicke. And if you don't know, it was growing pains? It was growing pains. It was Jay Onward. what was the guy that was when Fox Sports 1 launched, they had the two, Jay Onright. It was Jay Onright and the other fella. God, I can't blanking on his name. But they came over from ESPN Canada, TSN, I think. And they were hilarious. Oh, my God, I love these guys. And Jay Onright would do the Alan Thicke impression when Alan Thicke was at a hockey game. And he would do the line that is like the line you have to use. The line I have to use if I'm going to do anything that sounds remotely like Alan Thicke. And the line is, now, if you remember, just to give context, because I doubt anyone remembers this, in Growing Pains, Mike Seaver's best friend, I believe, was it Mike Seaver? I don't know. His best friend was named Boner. Boner Stabone. So it was a common line in the show for Alan Thicke's character to walk into the kitchen and be like, Mike, Boner's at the door. And that was the line Jay Onright would use whenever they would flash to Alan Thicke in the audience of an NHL hockey game. This is the most specific reference I believe I've ever made on this show. For the 3 people that got it, congratulations. All 4 of us are abnormal. For the vast majority that did not get it, Miss Guzzi. Theo, what's up, Theo? Nick Sirianni is authentic. He's comfortable in his own skin, and he's the right coach for this team, period. Theo, I believe you're right. Jason, that is literally all football, right? Let me show it again for the people in the back, okay? Here's the proposal once again. This literally just talks about playing the game of football. What are we doing here? This is dumb. And at the bottom of it is where it says pace of play. Pace of play and player safety. Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention the penalty. The penalty is 10 yards. 10-yard penalty for interlocking, interference, or illegal use of of hands, arms, or body by the offense. Loss of 10 yards. This is so dumb. This is so dumb. But they're going to ban it anyway, despite the fact that it's dumb. That's a song I just wrote right now. Nick Sirianni sitting down for the tush push ruling. Ugh. Sorry, had to. All right. Where did I leave? Where did I leave off? Where did I leave off? Oh, we're here, friend. Okay. Did Green Bay ever attempt to? Yes. They tried it with, I believe it was, what's his name? Kraft, their tight end. Bills can run it, but they can't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. Well, that's their bigger problem. They don't want to address their bigger problem. Ken Saad, what's up, bud? Nice to see you. Next up, no quarterbacks will be allowed to run. There will be no quarterbacks allowed to run. I hereby decree. Jeremy Von Skyver, what's up, buddy? Good morning, Farzi. Where are all the Mets fans? Your Phillies are now in first. That's right. They are. And what do you mean your Phillies? You mean our Phillies? Sean Mets sweep the Phillies April 20th. Cincinnati swept the Phillies April 23rd. The Mets 11-12. Womp womp. Phillies 16-6. Yay. Why Niners wine? What's going on? Dallas still sucks. Long live Jerry Jones. Exactly. Greg Benson, hello. Didn't Marcus Hayes predict Kyle Schwarber for MVP? They all laughed. I did not see that if he did, but good job, Marcus Hayes. STP, what's popping? Stone Temple Pilots, nice to have you in. That's showing your age. Me showing my age, not you. Go Birds, go Birds. Yacht shopping. Jason A, just go yacht shopping, okay? I don't know if you guys have ever been to the AC Boat Show. I used to go down there every year because they paid me to. And I'd walk around the yachts. And let me tell you something. I love the water. I love the water. I love fishing. I love being out there in the sea, you know. Love it. And I have stepped foot on a $1 million yacht. And when I say step foot, I mean literally step my foot because you have to take your shoes off when you come aboard, me matey. And I just look around and I'm just like, yo, man. And I remember the words my father has told me many, many times because my dad likes fishing and we both like the water. And my dad's told me many times the 2 best days of a boat owner's life are the day he buys the boat and the day he sells the boat. Every day in between is just like, how much do I got to pay for my docking fee? I got to scrape the barnacles off? I got to pay someone to scrape the barnacles off? This sucks. How much is it to put gas in this thing? And now I'm like talking to my dad about a yacht. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, Dad, I'm standing on $1 million. I call my dad. I'm standing on $1 million yacht. He's like, don't buy it. I'm like, well, thanks. I don't really think I got that kind of cashola on me right now. I don't even have my shoes on at this point. Farsi sounds like Alan Parsons. There you go. Remember when we all wanted Sirianni fired, said Jeremy? Yep. How about that? Sean Gillespie can't even buy toy yachts. There we go. Ooh, Jerry Von Skyver. Maybe STP is a Richard Petty fan. Maybe. Phillies window is closing, says Ken. They should trade the fat guy. Kyle Schwarber ain't fat, if that's what you're talking about. Kyle Schwarber is he's probably maybe the only person that could use the term big boned, and it's true. But he's thick, but he ain't fat. Oh, sorry. I'm an idiot. I should have read the rest of your comment, Ken. I apologize. Once again, a humble Miscusi. Phillies window is closing. They should trade the fat guy who can't read the ingredients for someone who can help us right now after an 80-game suspension. After the 80-game suspension, well, it's going to be past the deadline. Those were horrible days when we wanted Sirianni fired. Sixers receive. Oh, I've seen this. I'm good. No, yeah, okay. I just saw you put that up as well. Okay. Sixers, Kevin Durant. Sixers get Kevin Durant. Suns receive the number 3 pick. Paul George, a 20-30 first top 3 protected pick. Thoughts? No, thank you. Whoa, wait. I'm sorry. Yeah, I would do that deal. For Paul George? And at first round? Yeah, done. I would do that deal. I'm not a big Kevin Durant fan, but if you're telling me I could get rid of the Paul George, well, okay, now hold on a second. How much more money is Kevin Durant due on his contract? Typing loudly. For $54 million for next year. Yeah, I am doing this deal. 1 year of Kevin Durant. Yeah, done. I'm doing that deal. That is a great trade. I love this trade. Give me this trade now. I doubt it happens. So yeah, I would do that. That's not a. I don't think that's a logical trade. I think the Sixers would be stupid to not do that deal. If they can move on from Paul George's deal and just get 1 year of Kevin Durant, yeah, sign me up for that. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Phillies, Rockies, back at it tonight, 8:40 start time. Jesus Luzardo goes against Antonio Senzatella. That's the 8:40 game tonight. That's what goes down. By the way, it's your first place, Philadelphia Phillies, for those that did not know that. You know what? I didn't check how many games behind the Braves are. You know the Braves are going to have a surge in them at some point, so just like to keep them at bay. They are now they're 5 games behind the Phillies. So Braves are 5 games out of first place. Mets are a half game out of first place. Marlins 9.5 games out of first place. Nationals 8.5 games out of first place. Phillies have the best record in the National League, as the Dodgers have lost 4 of their last 10. Excuse me, 6 of their last 10. They've lost 4 in a row. Phillies are 29-18. The Dodgers are 29-19. They suck. The only team with a better record than the Phillies is the Detroit Tigers. How about those guys? Holy Stromboli, that team. They just lost to the Cardinals. Thanks, Cardinals. Is that where Austin Hayes went? He's having a good year. No, I'm losing my mind. Anyway. He went to Cincinnati. Hey, Miss Guzzi. But he is having a hell of a year, if I'm not mistaken. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Rhode Island is neither a road nor an island. Okay. But the beat. Where the hell did Austin Hayes? There he is. Yeah, okay. 330. Oh, geez, Louise. He's hitting 330 with a 375 on base percentage and 6 home runs. Now, there was a knock I had on him that was pretty consistent. Of course, he figures it out for Cincinnati. Well, the Phillies were right about him finally hitting righties. He's hitting 303 versus righties, 500 versus lefties. Well, he's only had 6 or 12 at-bats versus lefties this year. I think, was he a reverse splits guy? There was one. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. But the Phillies were like, oh, no, he can hit lefties, and he did not hit lefties. It was pretty terrible. No, I was right. I was right the first time. He was a reverse splits guy. He couldn't hit righties. He hit 203 against righties last year. All right. Anyway, enough of Austin Hayes. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. I'll also be back with you guys. Thank you. Reds. There we go. Oh, Spencer Strider's back pitching tonight. Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate you guys. Okay. Here's what we got today also in Morning Rush. Forgot. So Tush Push news today. Also, we will have some fine sound bites, I'm sure, for tomorrow when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. As there is media availability, 12:45, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, and select player press conferences. Timing approximate, but we should hear from Nick Sirianni today around 12:45. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you guys like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the Farzi Show. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to Jacob Media. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to Locked On Phillies YouTube channel for yours truly, giving you your postcasts after each and every game. And make sure you guys like and subscribe to Locked On Eagles YouTube channel as well. Me, Harry Mays, Jason Martinez, Louis DiBiase. We got you covered for Eagles conversation 2 hours a week, 2 shows, an hour each, breaking down the Eagles, the latest with the Birds. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned. Birds 365 coming up at 8 o'clock right here on the Jacob Media YouTube channel.
That's pretty dope.
See you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.